Hello, my name is Bruce Lombardo, and tonight's TableBreakers is going to be the start of a multi session discussion on the topic of wars in your tabletop campaigns. Joining us tonight are many of the people that you've seen before on this exact channel. And I'm going to be very pleased at the end of this as we exhaust all the possibilities. My cohorts will say we have kicked the horse completely dead. So let me, with no further hesitation, introduce tonight's panelists. Please welcome Baron G Rock. Hello, Baron. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Fantastic. Please welcome Shadow and Sun, minus the sun. How you doing today, Shadow?
I'm doing great, as always. Well, it depends on who you ask. If you ask the wrong person, they'll tell you I'm doing shitty.
Introducing Connell, the Cigar DM.
How's everybody? What was that?
How are you doing?
I will be groovy here in a second. As soon as I have my trademark cigar, I got my Western sugar water, as GM said last night. But I will be cracking open a beer because this is going to be one of those conversations.
All right. And let me bring in our featured panelist tonight, Kai Miriam.
Am I really featured?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Shopping Center. How you doing, bud?
Oh, I'm doing great.
Man, I've been hearing some things, been reading some things, and I am sickeningly curious about what we are going to talk about tonight because I love campaign wars.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love putting in a game and setting up distances and magic levels and tech levels and resources and throwing it out to the PCs. Here you go, fuckers. Try
Good
it.
luck.
Here you go, PCs. See what you can do. Be big damn heroes. Be big damn heroes. And I love doing that as a GM. But I've got to say that not many other people like to do this. Shadows ran games for 3 decades. He throws wars in his games every once in a while. Baron G-Rock.
All the damn time. Every chance I get.
Baron G-Rock doesn't really do it a whole lot. Connell hasn't talked about it much. And Jade hasn't... I wish he was here just to say like why he wasn't going to be here, but I'll let you explain that, Chimerian.
What? Why he can't?
Yeah.
When I, due to just bad luck or bad groups, just hasn't made a good attempt at it. Nothing wrong with that at all.
None. Nothing wrong at all. And don't take it as a slight against you as a GM either.
Nope.
That's everybody has an off night. Everybody has a campaign that I ran this one campaign and the book steered me wrong. Or the players and we just didn't gel well. It happens.
Mm-hmm.
It happens. You're gonna have learning experiences until you are a grandmaster at the table, and you're still gonna have learning experiences, which means that the table experience sucked. You're gonna have those. Because sometimes people just don't feel it. Sometimes people don't want to deal with what you want to throw at them. They're like, God damn it, I just want to kill kobolds. Why are you putting me on a dragon? They do that. Players are weird.
Yeah. It's a good way of putting it.
Yeah,
So,
also,
go ahead.
about tables, why don't you say really quick about tables? Sometimes you could have the best campaign ideas out there. It being a war campaign, it being Conquering the Dragon campaign, and for some reason it just does not take flight. You did everything right. You have the right players, but somehow there was just a dud somewhere in there, and it just falls flat. I've seen it happen. How it's happened to me a few times.
Years ago, before I turn this over to Connell fully, Garrett, do you remember that experience called Second Darkness?
Oh, you mean that horse shit of a module you threw us through that was fine until we hit the last book, and then it was rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. Oh my fucking God, just shoot me in the brain. That
Yeah,
one?
it was a choo-choo for like book 5. A really bad plot train. Really bad. And the party was starting to lose interest around that time. They hit book 6, and you guys were like, "We're fucking done." What do you got in your chest of stuff to do, Bruce? Do you have a original module, or you want to run through another AP? One of the guys like, I actually like the APs because it kind of gives everybody a chance to shine. Bruce would focus on the magic users. I remember hearing that at my table quite often because I like magic. That's what I fucking do, you know. I'm not very strong in real life. I would much rather be a wizard than a fucking day laborer or a fucking two-handed sword wielder. Chimerian's like, yes. Yeah, Baron, that was like the only campaign I've ever ran that I regret the 3 months that we played.
It was fine until we hit that last book, and then it's just like I think everyone that and I'll fully put it out there. I think at Paizo they had a 3-year-old write the first chapter of it, and then decided, hey, this sounds like a good idea. Let's just copy and paste it the rest of the way through the book.
Yeah, it is the most hated book in the most hated AP in the Paizo forums, and that's the forums for the company that wrote the damn thing.
Wait. What module is this?
Second Darkness.
Is that with all the damn drows?
Yep.
Yeah, I haven't ran it yet, nor do I have any interest into it.
Don't do it.
You won't. It'll stay in that undone pile. Okay, so we're going to talk about war. And the way I want to do this, I want to actually have Connell do the round robin hosting thing. Usually Jade does that pretty well. You do it really well too, Connell. I was really surprised at how well you do it for never doing radio, but okay, that's fine.
What can I say? I have the face for radio.
Nothing.
Your
even
words,
about
not mine.
it just works, dude. It works when you start it off. Unless, Chimerian, do you have anything that you want to say before we start this?
Oh, no. I was wanting to direct the fire hose of information that I've got, or my thoughts, so that way we can have some order.
Okay. This is going to be a rant-heavy night. So for those of you that love it, whenever Kai starts to roll and starts to unfurl and unleash his rage, go ahead, tweet it out, share it with your buddies, get the stream out there, and really would appreciate that. If you also would click like on this video, if we do entertain you, that would be great. If we suck, I don't even mind if you give us a thumbs down and telling us why we get a thumbs down. I want the criticism. If it's constructive criticism, that'd be great. All right. Before we start, Shadow, Garrett, you got anything else before we begin?
Now let's get on with the show.
Donald, take it away.
All right. So we're going to talk about war and what is it good for. Hopefully, at the end of this conversation, we'll find it's more than for absolutely nothing, but that might be the end result. So I'm going to start with a simple question, and we're going to start from there. And I think I'm going to start with Baron, because Baron, like you, I hate to follow Kai, because Kai just sucks out all the oxygen in the room. Everything that needs to be said has been said, and you're just sitting there with a thumb up your ass wondering, why the fuck am I even here? So I'm going to start with you.
Okay, as long as Shadow follows Kai, we're fine.
Yeah.
Don't do that to the man.
You know what?
He's
Today-
old. It's okay.
So, wow. See, this is how a good war starts. It begins with pot shots.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Bruce, you're getting a dislike because you aren't wearing your mullet.
How do they know?
Especially since you don't have a mullet. You have the Bob Ross wig.
Yeah, let me get the. Hold on.
Whatever.
I'm going to show you here. I got the. Would I not wear this on a night where we discuss war?
Oh my God. You look like a 1970s porn star. It's amazing.
That is the desired effect achieved.
That is amazing. It's like Three Musketeers meet
Bruce,
your Penthouse.
Bruce, have you been watching a bunch of Blake 7 like I have? What's the deal?
No, I haven't. I need to.
Yeah, you do.
I'm waiting for Garrett to put that on the server. Blake's 7, Garrett.
It is.
It
It
is?
has been. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going through the Orville right now. That's why I haven't seen it.
Ah.
All right. So, with all that being said, all right. If you're going to start a war campaign, a campaign that has war in it, do you make a religious war, a racial war, or a invasion from an unknown enemy? Which of let's do the base 3. Which ones do you prefer?
I try to stay away from the religious war just because it has too many connotations. I mean, we have so many, and if you look in history, not the 20th century, but you look at earlier history, 98% of the wars that were fought were over religion.
Oh my God! You're just asking for James to come at you again.
I don't care. It's true. It's either it was religion or some dictator or king had something shoved up his butt and he was looking at everybody funny. It's one or the other. But
This is a very anal stream. We've had 2 mentions of thumbs up butt so far.
No, you just said thumbs up. I just added the butts later. Giggity. Okay. Anyway, but no, I typically try to make it a territory type war, especially with encroachments, expansion, things along those lines. Where there is already settlers that have been there for years and years. I tend to like to have a kingdom try to come in and say, "Oh, well, now you're ours," and the people say, "No. Those words don't mean what you think they mean," and just totally say, "You know what? Screw you. You can go back home, and we'll send you there with arrows and pikes and everything else in your stomachs, in your faces. They'll show you the door." That's typically where I like to go, because a lot more it is easier for the PCs to wrap their head around a war about land, because it has been going on for years. Not to go back into history in the U.S., but in the U.S., there was a lot of land grabs and things along those lines. Not all of them good. So yeah, it's just little things like that I tend to find that there's more of a connection.
All right. Bruce, same question. I know you're running a war campaign because me and Shadow are in it. Is that your preferred version of doing a war campaign, or do you like to mix it up every so often?
I prefer to mix it up quite a bit. Actually, what I prefer to do is run the Final Wars and then the Shellback TJC and Hell City and James L. What I would prefer is have the ability to have a game wrap up or a war wrap up and have the players kind of then introduced as the new movers and shakers are put on the chessboard. That way the players can be part of like a healing process or some sort of like rehabilitation, or if there's conquered lands involved, the players get that wonderful chance to go out there and carry the banner of the new conquerors, and they get to be the expansionist pigs and develop the new land as their host so desires. I think that's a great style of campaign because it makes the players feel like they're part of something bigger, and at the same time, when they get over to where they're supposed to be at, the media that they heard when they were in country in their home country unravels when they get in country, and they might just get to see all the lumps and all the warts within the politics. I think it's great. I think it's really a fun way to stage a backdrop for a campaign, and you have a lot of ideas that I just kind of regurgitated there, kind of got on the table in front of me, so all of you guys can take some notes and put that to use for your own campaign. And I think it works really well. I really
All right.
do.
So, for those who are not aware, Kai has been running certain chats with this conversation for the past week. And boy, before I open up the barn and let all his ranting voices out, aka Rantsaurus, or St. Kai as we lovingly call him, I'm going to go with Shadow. Then I'm going to open up that barn door, stand back, and watch the glory.
Okay.
So, Shadow, when you're running a campaign and it has war in it, is it religious base? Is it a territory base? Or is it an unknown invader from a galaxy far, far away? Or the Never Never?
Well, it's never the Never Never, because that's one guy's IP that I've never contemplated using. I've used other dimensions, but that specific, no. I've done them all. From your typical medieval fantasy, I'm running one of those right now. I just finished an epic sci-fi war that lasted years before it was finally concluded. Mind you, there was a big gap of inactivity from the players and my part. Life got in the way of that one. But I've run them all. I'm actually a fan of them all, especially in not just tabletop RPGs, but I play dozens of other war games, which are actually very helpful if you've got at least two people at the table, the DM and another player, who've engaged in war games. Then it makes it a lot easier for everybody else to get involved, because that's what you're doing, is you're essentially melding a war game into your RPG. And if you don't do it right, you're going to lose, a large number of your players, if not all of your players, who just will do everything from bog it down to just flat out say, no, we're not doing that. We don't want to be part of that. We're the big damn heroes. Send us on some sort of mission to where we can be said heroes. We don't want to be in mass combat and risk our pretty little heads in that sort of ugliness. Which, to be honest, how many times have you been a dungeon master and threw more than 10 or 20 goblins, kobolds, orcs, something like that at them? It's kind of the same thing. You just change the backdrop. You put a different green screen in there, and there's smoke, and there's fire, and there's other people fighting in the background, and that's a war game.
All right.
You really have to be able to mix the two with or without their permission. And if you do it without their permission, you have to find a way to more or less, I hate to use the word trick, but literally trick them into falling in line and doing their part. If you just constantly let them just be on the covert op missions, and they're just doing things like that, trying to kill the bad guy and make it just all go away, that's been overdone so many times. And to be honest, in the greater scheme of things, it shouldn't change everything, unless you're running a war where some sort of artificial or hive mind intelligence is running the troops on the ground, or some sort of necromancer or lich that is completely controlling the undead on the battlefield. And when you cut those heads off, everything just falls to the ground, which is the weakest of endings of wars I can imagine. You really want the players to feel a decisive victory, and give that victory to the NPCs and the zero levelers and the troops on the field. Suddenly everything just drops down dead, and then they realize They didn't do it. They all know, hey, I didn't do this. Someone else did it. They're the heroes. We were just here as cannon fodder once again. Make it seem enjoyable for everything, for everybody. I realize the NPCs have no real feelings, but there would be resentment from some people who just realized that, hey, we were just sacrificial pawns so that you could go and get the glory killing the Lich or the robot overlord or something like that. Let the players experience the on the battlefield at least part of the time. At some point, they need to understand why they don't want this to ever happen again. They've seen war. They've been on the battlefield. They've heard the screaming and the crying and the moaning of the wounded. They've trudged knee deep in blood of their enemies. They need that experience to understand why war is ultimately not a good thing. Unless you're running an evil campaign, in which case, have at and may God have mercy on your soul.
No, we're not talking about evil campaigns, Mister. I like
That's why I
pineapple
ended
on
it.
pizza. Now,
Did
Kai?
you say I like pineapple on pizza?
No, he likes pineapple on his pizza. That's why he runs evil campaigns.
I
So do I.
love pineapple on pizza. Pineapple on pizza is just one of those things in life. It's a microscopic element of life. If you don't like it, you can flick it off.
Anyway,
It's the people who put sardines on pizza who really need a stern talking to.
Wait.
War were declared.
This is where how war gets started. First he attacks the sardines, then he puts what on pizza? Sorry.
all right.
Chimerian, I'm going to hold off on Chimerian for just as a. Yeah. I like sardines on certain pizzas. On certain Neapolitans, yeah, it comes out great, but not on all of them. Hold on.
He also likes his crust 2 feet thick.
What was that, Garrett?
I said you also like your pizza 2 feet thick.
Just 4 inches. Open wide. All right, we've had puppy time.
Aw.
No.
So the gate doors have been rattled. The barn
All
door
right.
has been lifted. Off to the races we go. Kai, what do you have to say?
What, on the opening topic?
Yes.
No pepperoni about pizza.
I like a white sauce and chicken or barbecue on a white sauce or barbecue and chicken on my pizzas. So I'm not even a traditionalist there. So
All right, but on the original topic. All right.
Hey, question was asked. I'm just following this.
Religion, territory grab, or an unseen invader?
It is always. Do you have a flag? If not, you're now part of our country. So you just put a little flag down and you move from there. It's ultimately. Sure, I may have every once in a while there's always at some point someone goes, it's religion. Yeah, but we also want your stuff. It's an unknown invader who wants your stuff. You're invading. That means you want their stuff. Their stuff is yours. If they can't hold it, raiders show up. It's an invasion. And no matter what, it's like somebody has to cross the line. Somebody has to start shooting. Somebody has to start stabbing or shooting arrows at people. Someone does it. It's like no matter what you have or any other justification for why everyone is, it's, yeah, sure. They don't worship our God. But so how do we fix that? By going over there and taking their land, taking their stuff, and putting our flag down. So it's ultimately steal their stuff and take their land. Yes. Because we don't like them. So therefore we want their stuff. Fantastic. There you go. A simple way of looking at it.
All right. Now this has become officially the doggy channel.
I had two.
If it's going to be a war, is it going to be dog versus cat, or is it going to be cat versus dog? Who will be the winner?
Rat dog versus useful dog?
I like rat dogs.
Cat can't organize the damn thing. How do you expect that to be a fair fight?
Cats are your secret manipulars who push the dogs into war. The cats never fight. You know this.
All right. So, second question is when designing a war, do you just use the typical trope of goblins, kobold, hobgoblins, so forth, or is it going to be human versus human, or is it going to be some other unknown, NPC type creature you have in your game? I'll start with Baron again.
What was that? I'm sorry, I was distracted by all the puppies.
Puppies.
When you are building your campaign, what is going to be the main foot soldier? Is it going to be gobos and hobgoblins and orcs, or is it going to be human versus human, or is it going to be some other creature that is unknown?
Depends. Who's to say that it's not an
Okay,
undead
right.
horde?
Say that again. I think
I said, who's to say it's not going to be an undead horde being sent with
True.
a necromancer going across the countryside, resurrecting all these nifty little areas where it's like, oh, they buried a bunch of dead here. I can use this resources. You don't have to feed the undead. You don't have to clothe the undead. Yeah, and once they're dead, you can resummon them. And they can snap their stuff back together and send them on their way.
Okay.
I like undead.
So is that one of the main ones you use, undead?
Oh yeah,
All right.
it is a beautiful recycling resource.
How green of you. So, Bruce, same question. When you are putting the enemies on the board, deciding what to use, it's going to be monsters, humans, undead, or unseen villains.
I always go for the militaristic use of land grabbing. And if there happens to be settlements on that land, well, it goes to.
All right.
Usually, it's not an undead war unless it's like the Slumbering Czar saga that's gone on too long, and the players have, instead of getting this campaign finished 6 months ago, they've spent the past 3 months going between towns, collecting materials so they could craft instead of going after the big fucking super dungeon. And they instead of advance in level and find new stuff and new secrets about various things of history buried in this old cathedral that just appeared after the players did the final thing to make it come back to the prime material plane, and now it's a threat upon this nation. But the players are high level, and they're going to take about a season or two off and maybe make a staff of the Magi, and the Paladin really wants a Holy Avenger, and maybe the fighter's going to have about 7 or 8 brides to start his families with, so we can have people fill the compounds in 20 years. But, go ahead, guys. Just sit on that fucking duff of yours and don't go after the big bad guy which just appeared. The giant Orcus Cathedral and Czar is back, and you're not fucking going after it. Sorry.
I think that was mild GM hand waving, pointing you in the right direction.
No.
Anything else you wish to add to that? Where did it touch me in the bad space rant there for a second? We had there, Bruce?
The undead, when the undead come back, it's with a purpose, and they catch up with lost time. They definitely go for lost time acquisitions, and they try to catch up for all that. And I would say that they're a bigger threat than most mortal characters out there. But when you have a wizard or two that's hell-bent to get whatever that this section of real estate has that makes it so special, you've got to fight. You've got to war. So whatever it is, I mean, it's going to be war. And I would prefer for it to be a living person, but one of these days I'll get back to Slumbering Czar and finish that damn campaign. Damn you.
Well, when you do, count me in, because between you and Baron, it sounds really fun. I'd like to dip my toes in that particular module, if it would be cool with you. All right.
I don't know if you'll like it.
If you're the DM who won't. All right. With that being said, moving over to St. Kai of the Wrath and Lantern.
Okay. All right. What do I use? If there wasn't, I know most people, everyone else hasn't read the room, but I like using humans because, well, humans, elves, any of the major races that you usually associate with civilization and society. I would love to be able to use monsters as an army or an invading force, but let's be honest, outside of orcs, hobgoblins, and goblins, how often do you see a large organized force? I am going to lump Drow into the elven category because I am kind of a Warhammer fantasy player, so therefore, when I think it was like Drow, dark elves, they're all scary underground, and I'm like, they're on boats and they ride lizards. Fuck you. But elves come in so many flavors. Fuck it. They're like a Skittles bag of shit. But I mean, how often are you going to see like a dragon army or an army of whatever the fuck is in your monster manual? Sure, though, we always dangle over the heads. The legions of the demon hordes are going to come and besiege and burn down the world, and they never do. Or when they do, there's usually, the heroes are all finally there, and, they've done all their good deeds, and all the allies of good and stuff assault the big dark evil portal, and, it's an epic fight versus a pit lord and some shit, and you really don't see a prolonged demon invasion unless you're playing 40K or Warhammer Fantasy Battles, and oh man, then there's the entire North. Then it's fun, but most of the time, most of us are not playing Warhammer Fantasy RPG, and most of us aren't playing Death Watch or Only War or Dark Heresy, where you do worry about the armies of the demons or whatever. But most of the time, since most of us are rather boring, droll peoples, so the bulk of our entire things are always, look at this, an orc invasion. They are slightly barbaric and they scream and drool a lot, and they wear leather and they use battle axes because that's what orcs do, and I have absolutely no creativity whatsoever because I played Warcraft 2 a lot, and I played Warcraft 3 a lot. So therefore this is how I think all fiction works. And because yes, I too watched Return of the King, and this is how I think of how things work, because I don't think how fantasy very well because I'm average GM. No, so when I really do one things, I really try to stick with humans because humans tend to have the largest group of people that you can say, well, I guess 10,000 humans died. Well, there's another 10,000 more behind that. Meanwhile, if you go, 1,000 elves died. Oh, fuck. We're not going to see another 1,000 elves for another 100 years. And 1,000 dwarves die. Oh, shit. That might be that might be 50 years before we see another generation. But meanwhile, humans are just like, fuck it, meat grinder this shit. And then you have orcs that are like, fuck it, meat grinder this shit. And goblins, fuck it, just bury them in our bodies. I mean, but so if I'm going to run a war, I'm going to make sure it's with races that can actually take casualties. Because otherwise, all I'm doing is I'm just running a Dungeon and Dragons dungeon adventure. Ooh, you got to go find the one scary monster who's behind everything. But at that point, you're playing a decapitation operation, and you're just trying to assassinate someone. And again, that's not an invasion. That's not the bulk of the forces. Yeah.
Okay. Shadow. It helps once you're unmuted, unless you're taking the vow of silence.
Ha! Are you kidding?
One
But
could
he's
hope.
a paladin. Sounds like a good thing to do.
No, not going to happen. It would be kind of pointless, don't you think?
It depends on the rest of the party.
I would not be. I would not be able to spout the wisdom like I'm about to do just a moment from now. I actually, my initial reaction answer would be whatever's appropriate. What the hell kind of game are you running? Are you running a science fiction game? Well, then you pick a science fiction appropriate encounter. If you're playing fantasy, you're not going to bring in robots unless you're playing Arduin or in one of my campaigns. So it really would kind of obviously depend on the campaign. If there are no orcs and goblins in your world, bringing them in might be a way to introduce them. But obviously, if there's something that doesn't exist in your world, throwing it at your party out of nowhere might be, kind of a dick move, something that they couldn't possibly prepare for because you already told them they don't exist. So, stocking up on holy water when you tell your campaign undead don't exist, which I actually did once. Something to that effect. I didn't tell them undead didn't exist. I just told them that they hadn't seen undead in thousands of years. But for the most part, I actually tend to throw something pretty nasty. You said dragons. I've actually done that. I'm currently running two different dragon wars in two different campaigns, and dragons are a lot more plentiful and a lot more numerous than most people would ever dare using. But my players have done the war with the orcs, the goblins, the kobolds, to the point where the last thing they want to be involved in is another war of boring orcs and goblins and kobolds, and just there comes a point with a group where you need to step everything up a notch. So I do so. I would imagine the same with running a game for you guys when we do our every GM does a one shot. The last thing you guys are going to want is to be sucked into a war with a bunch of kobolds. You're going to be like, get the fuck out of here, right? How many times have you guys been in a war with orcs?
Few.
You.
I will
Do you
have
ever want to do?
All of them.
I will happily kill orcs all day long, especially in fantasy or in sci-fi, because, well, the Imperial Guard exists for a reason, and we kill orcs.
Right, but would you go into it thinking this is probably going to be boring?
Oh, if it's an only war campaign, no, because I'm gonna have more fun with. I'm gonna have so much fun.
Okay, well that's cool that you trust the GMs. Me personally, I'd be like, this is going to be boring as hell. I've done this 50 times. How are you going to make it new? You know what I mean? So I just skip that crap and go into something that they least expect. Something with a lot more balls, a lot more teeth, and a lot more threat imposed on the characters. Because for the most part, the characters rarely actually care about the peasantry or the common man, as it were. They're worried about themselves. You throw an army of dragons, they're gonna shit themselves and actually know the meaning of the word fear.
Okay. So really quick, since Blackout Coffee has just made its appearance on tonight's stream, I have to ask the panel this: if given a choice, coffee or tea? Start with you, Baron.
Monster.
Oh yeah.
Wait, what do you got there? What do you got there, Garrett?
Monster. All right, put it away.
What about you, Kai?
If I'm being civilized, tea. If I've been up for 46 hours and I need to kill something, coffee.
Shadow and Sun?
You know the answer to that. Water, only water. Nothing else passes these lips. Water. God made water. Top it. I dare you.
But coffee is water.
So I. Okay.
All right. I guess this is going to be one of those questions. I know, you ask 5 different people, 5 different the same question, you get 5 different answer types in a scenario. but I'm going to start anyways. I got a question for you, Baron. What is your favorite system to run a war out of? It being D&D, it being Traveler, Dark Heresy, and the list goes on. Which would you prefer to run a war out of?
Dark Heresy, just because of the background. You've got several different ways to do it. You can do it with your players being Space Marines. You can have them playing general troops. You can even have them playing as space rogues, so to speak. On a rogue trader ship. There's several different avenues that you can do, and you can mix and match their encounters, and it makes it a lot better, in my opinion.
All right. Kai looked like he was about ready to hop out of his seat when I asked that question. What system do you prefer to use when you're going to war with your players?
This is going to be a weird one. West End Games Star Wars D6. That engine is so beautiful and easy, and I can do anything with it with no effort. If I can't run that, I'm going to run Dark Heresy because it's first edition. Because, well, it's good. And if I want to run something a bit more believable, I will probably run a Traveler / Twilight 2000 game because, well, it works. It works well. And if I want to play Government Overreach Simulator, I'm going to go with humors of fuck it, whatever, brain farting. But it doesn't matter. You got my answers. So,
all right, Bruce.
What was your question, my friend?
If you want to run a war campaign, what system would you like to use? It being D&D
I'm
or
just going to say that right now I'm running Pathfinder and or D20 or 3.75, whatever you want to call it. But in all seriousness, I'll go with another vote for West End Games D6 Star Wars system because it is so simple and elegant, and you can get cinematic action in the players' faces very quickly. It doesn't rely on tabletop battle boards or ranged skirmish combat, although you can add that to it. There are subsystems available. But it is the most perfect tabletop game because you can run it for political intrigue. You can do fast action. You can do asteroid belt starship chases. You can have capital ship espionage. It is a wonderful, beautiful, big, joyous system. Okay, I mean, you wrap your arms around it after you read through it, and it's just elegant. You want to pick it up and date, and go on a date with it because it can't be that easy, can it? Wait, you're just telling me like the difficulty numbers are like just 5 digits apart, and that's it. That's it.
yes.
That's all. Or
Brief-
maybe it's contested roles. Oh no.
Brief aside, we are actually using the Star Wars D6 engine to run a turn of the century, like 1900s political intrigue campaign set in in Turkey. So we're kind of like dealing with the Ottoman Empire, but we're all playing using the Star Wars engine because it works. It's fun because everyone's playing like these really interesting little historical characters, but the world's a little off because, well, it's PCs and we can't go, what happens on this date. No. So we're having a little bit of fun. So you have this kind of like Orient Express adventure going on here, but using an engine. So you don't even need to worry about, are we using blasters? My holdout pistol, I fire 6 shots and does 3d6 damage. Okay.
3d6 damage. Maybe.
Yeah. So my little Derringer does 2d6 damage. And since there's no Wookiees, we're all kind of going, ooh, 2d6 damage. That might actually hurt somebody. Ooh. And then you watch that one guy who walks out with the big scary Mauser. We're like, "Oop, okay, that guy's scary." And then you got the one guy who's like, "This is my Lee Enfield." And we're like, "Oh, no, man! You take that rifle somewhere else because that's going to kill everybody in the room."
I'll be right back. I got to get my liquids. I already have beers here, but I don't want to start drinking that just yet.
Yeah.
All right. So, Shadow, same question. If running a war campaign, what system do you prefer to use? It being high sci-fi, or it being fantasy, or somewhere in between?
Okay, I'm having a little trouble with the question. You mean before I even start the campaign?
Yes.
Okay, so I plan on making a war campaign and then get the players to come to the table with that in mind. Well, it depends on the game we're playing or the game the players want. If I want a war, I'll put it in any game I want. It really depends on, the what everybody wants to play. If they want to play Boot Hill, I can throw in Range War, okay? If they want to play Traveler, I'm surprised anybody knew what the hell I was just talking about. If I'm running, they want to play Traveler, okay, and I want to spring a war on them, I'll use Traveler. There's no game I can't turn into a war game. I've played actual just tabletop war games since before I was role playing, and I'll continue to do so long after I'm dead. At least that's the plan. So it really depends on what the players want. If the players don't want a war game and they come to me saying, "We want to play, but no war," I'm going to be like, well, find another DM, because war is the ultimate culmination of every role-playing game. If you don't plan on having a war to pretty much end your campaign on, you're pretty much just there to do whatever the players want. And because the players never want war, okay? They want to be the big damn heroes every time and suck up all the glory and never ever have to actually do anything that's risky. And there's nothing more risky than war, because not only can you lose your life, but you can lose your property, your friends, everything around you can be turned to ash. So it really depends on the game and I guess the player.
That's fair. No, that's really fair. All right. So this has been, I've been working out the next question in my head, and this is kind of where I've gotten with this. And I'm going to boil it down to one system, because it makes the most sense in my head. If you go to the monster manual and the hand player's guide, let's say in Pathfinder, we've all played Pathfinder here, right? I know Shadow's just starting it, but you're playing Pathfinder. And you can only pick 2 races to have a war with each other. Just 2. Not have humans, elves, and dwarfs all working together, but 2 races. It being halflings and goblins, gnomes and kobolds, humans versus whatever, so forth and so on. And the party knows that this is going to be this is going to be a xenophobic scenario type game. You can only pick 1 race. Which one would you do? Who would be the captains? I'll start with Shadow.
Probably Tieflings and Dragonborn. That way I can eliminate them both, or at least one of them from the campaign forever, so they would never show up ever again.
All right. Is that your final answer?
You betcha. I mean, I could go through the book and find out which race I hate more than Tieflings, but it would be them versus something else, and hopefully they would just annihilate each other, and the humans and the elves would all high-five each other.
All right. Kai.
It just can't be a human-on-human fight, right?
It could be a human-on-human fight.
Because honestly, it's who would I do? Humans versus literally everyone else in existence. Because, well, we'll fight everyone, including ourselves, periodically for some reason. I really don't need a reason; just simply they're there, and I have a lot of people I need to pay for, and I don't have a lot of money. They've got money. I need to pay for them. Let's go fight a war. Or hell, mercenaries. Who's Who's your biggest mercenary groups? Humans. Why? Because we fight for money. Orcs, win, honor, glory, kill things. Elves, some highfalutin shit. Dwarves, highfalutin shit. Humans, fuck it, cash. Just go. We're xenophobic. You said the word xenophobic. Oh my God, you just described the Imperium of Man, or the Empire, or anything. It's like, oh, here we are, some halflings having a nice little day. You see the butterflies, and then the thundering march of boots across a hillside, and you're like, oh, what's going on? Should we be happy and give them free cake? And oh God, we're being invaded. Why? Because the Empire decided to expand today, and you were in the way of some consul who goes, I need to make a name for myself. And that halfling village looks pretty easy to beat up right now. Boom. I could run a dwarf campaign fighting some ratlings, or you could have some. And yes, I understand the boredom with lots of boredom with a few moments. And I could do that campaign too. But if I want to have fun with a game, and I like making people miserable, but yes, I honestly would enjoy greatly whatever it is, because you gotta find an excuse for everybody else. It's like elves, why are you fighting somebody? They burnt down our tree. We are fulfilling a treaty obligation. Dwarves, we're busy. I guess we're angry because somebody kicked over our forge. Now we're angry. There's 100 reasons why. And in space, I have 100,000 races that all go, today is a good day to declare war on somebody because, I don't know, the political chart says I'm at negative 197 to my political friendship poll. So we're going to have to invade you now. Well, I guess it's time for a war for the next 30 years. Cool. Mark it off your list. And who does this the best? Humans. We're the most horrible race, and we should have fun indulging in it. And if that means you burn down a few everythings, so what? So be it.
All right. Baron.
Cake is right. Do you have a flag?
I do now. Truthfully, what I typically do would be, it's one or two. It's usually either greenskins, just because everyone loves to beat up the greenskins, orcs,
Amen, Omen.
goblins, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or the other one that usually doesn't get thrown in with them, but are also amazing to fight, especially for the players to fight, are lizardmen. Lizardmen are they can adapt to a lot of environments. They are good at scavenging their own food. So resource supply trains. I am all about the resource supply trains. What armies don't need this and that can just be go crazy? Undead is one. The other is lizardmen, because they can scavenge. There are typically, unless it's a fully desert biome, they can swim underwater fishing, catch the fish they need to be able to survive. They can live off the land, and that is one of the big things that when you're looking at a human army. This has been even in the looking at the medieval time frame, is that there were actual caravans that followed behind different armies, because they had people who were blacksmiths, they had people who were leather workers, they had ladies of the evening, because the soldiers needed to get their stuff fixed, they needed entertainment, everything else. And that is typically when you have a human army like that, there winds up being more casualties because it's not only just the army, but it's also the supply chain following them and the supply chain bringing supplies in behind them. Because if you screw up the supply train, it's just like any other type of war game. If you screw up the supply train, they're going to be easy pickings.
An army does move on its stomach.
And usually on its feet.
Yeah. Good shoes and a full belly will make most soldiers happy. So the history books would have you believe.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
Nope, not at all.
The history books are written by the winners. Let's not forget that.
Okay.
The winners or the wieners?
Go ahead.
If you could only pick 2 species, 2 races in your Pathfinder world to have and the players would have to be one of the 2, who would it be?
For war?
Yes. Let's say it be the hobgoblins invading the humans.
As much as I want the elves to be the financiers and banksters behind the war, because that's what they would do. They would finance both sides just to get rid of one less irritating group of people to deal with.
Fire.
Elves are supremacists. They typically are. They have the one of the more savvy races for magic, for sword play. They do really good with archery. So they would be the banksters for like 90% of the world's wars in a game I would run. Kind of like what's not going on in my current campaign, because that's not how that world operates. But in a lot of other worlds I've ran, elves typically are the bad guys behind the scenes, but they will prop up a war and they will shove the dwarves into a bad spot for settlements, knowing that they have to live near these silver or iron veins, but then the elves will activate an old war relic and it'll agitate some greenskins over here, and the greenskins go up and they tunnel up underneath the dwarves, and so the dwarves and the greenskins fight, because that's just fun. Hey, Shellback, you take care, buddy. And the players the whole time are like, what the fuck was that ancient elven relic that we found, the pieces of? And the elvish people come after, the fight's over. Dwarves, we would like to have the items that are remaining of that artifact back. We need this. Helsinki, yes, they would. And they would be actually minting the money. Even though the gold would be mined by the dwarves, the elves would mint it. They would do that. And they would be the ones that would be putting their competitors in always a bad spot. You would always see that through time. But because they live so long, nobody connects those dots. It's like we were alive till like 2005, and nobody figured out that the royal family of England was related to the royal families of Saudi Arabia and the Middle East. Nobody thought about this till David Icke came along. And then once you look at the facts and you follow the bloodlines yourself, because you're like, he's got to be bullshitting. He's got to be lying. No, it can't happen. Well, actually, David Icke found out, all of these people running your damn world, they're all one big family, a family of losers. But who's the bigger losers? That's us. And we're not in the club.
No, you're not.
So that answers a roundabout question, but I don't know if that answers this question. I said which 2, and you said you'd use the elves,
dwarves and the greenskins would be fighting.
Okay. If you said that, I misheard it. I'm sorry.
The reason why is because the elves would point out to the dwarves, an ancient map says that there's a silver mine over here, and you would be perfect to find that and to extrapolate it, and you could exploit it. and you could feed
God.
humans for it. And then the elves would go, and they're like, "Oh, look, there's a bunch of green-skinned Neanderthals around our old magical equipment. Bobby, turn on the gnomish device we stole, and let's see what the revisions and upgrades did 200 years ago. I want to see this thing go." And then the orcs are displaced, and they go right into the damn dwarves, who are the player's choice of campaign creature.
All right. Now, there's a question that got brought up by the chat.
Hit it. Which
Yeah,
one?
Travis J. 1975 asks, Stripper Guild versus College Nerds, who would win?
Oh God. Really?
Really, the college nerds versus a strippers guild?
Yeah.
Oh man, don't let Kai answer that. He's starting to cook. Let him bake on that for a second.
I'll start
Nothing
with
would stand a chance against the Strippers Guild. Everything has to, satisfy those urges, and yeah, nerds would get like a -10 against all of that.
all right, Baron.
Baron, you there, buddy? Nope, he's on mute. Okay,
All
ask
right.
Shadow.
Well, Shadow already gave his thought processing. What about you, Bruce?
Well, I would say that the college nerds might have an idea as to how to go about it. They wouldn't have the fortitude or endurance to see it to the end, because the strippers guild would just buy off the teachers and start failing their grades. Just make your life a little harder for them this semester. Here's an extra $20,000 for your favorite charity. I know you've been wanting to do this, right? Don't you have a bake-off? Don't you have something you want to do? Here's some money, and don't tell them it was from us. The last thing I want to hear the nerd moms talk about is how the strippers easily took care of their little irritant. So just here, take care of this, and make sure those three nerd guys, make sure they fail.
Okay. I'm going to try Baron one more time.
Baron, you there, buddy?
I think he's AFK.
All right. Kai?
Okay. Now, mind you, this is going to be using the information of the Stripper Guild that I've come up with in my head. I would see this as being a shadow war being fought in the background for a very long time, between what you would, in essence, have is a shadowy, corrupt group of ne'er-do-wells, because the guild does have its enforcers. It's all the strippers themselves. Meanwhile, you'd have an equally corrupt and backstabbing secret society of college graduates who are, in essence, nerds who want their share of everything. So, no, it would be one of those things where it would be a very slow, in the background shadow war. Like, for anyone who's like used to like a Mage the Ascension level kind of game, or an Elysium for vampire level game going on. So it's a war. Yes, there are no armies, but each one is fucking around with politicians, with business, with trade, and they're all just in the back. Meanwhile, we go to work every single day and not realize that these two powerhouses, like, all your secret societies that are all operating from these Ivy League college boys, and then you have the down and out scum who are pretty much the super guilds. But that at some point that both sides have secret little get-togethers. The higher ups, of course. The low-level troopers, they have no idea what's going on, and nor should they ever, because they're the pawns, they're the ones who are dying. But the higher ups, they don't give a shit. All they care about is, so will you be at the conference on Tuesday? Yeah, I'll be there. I hate you. I know, but we need to talk about how we're going to do X and Y horrible thing. Meanwhile, those poor people on the ground are like, why aren't the police stopping this? Why? We own them. What the fuck do you expect? Can you help any? No. You see, because we're a war, and we can't end the war until one of us wins. Could you actually fight it out? No. No, we won't. We're sorry. But everyone else is just casualties in our great little power struggles. So, yeah.
I need to address something Omenal said. Very old nerds would find the beer maids and baking women more pleasing than strippers. I have to vehemently disagree. Strippers with daddy issues over bitter old maid. Yeah, remember, guys, we don't pay them for sex. We pay them to go away.
You know, there are so many brand new boots who are first getting out and going, finally, a woman, I'm marrying you. And strippers are just like, yay! Yay, someone who divorce and get money from. Hooray!
So since
Clearly they have no opportunity to go to the officers club when they're not actually there to see what really goes on.
We're not talking about them. We're talking about those poor saps who are just coming out going, this is my first time out in the real world again. I love boobs. And now they're fucking married. Bullshit. With a Camaro. Fuck this.
So since Baron has made it back to the land of YouTube, sorry, I just saw Discord for a second. Who would you think would win in a war, the Strippers Guild or versus college nerds?
Have you never seen Revenge of the Nerds?
Oh, yes, I
have.
Okay. If you're at Fort Campbell down in Tennessee, strippers versus the Army.
Strippers.
Same thing. Yeah.
Strippers. Look, they've already married half of you. They're going to divorce half of you, and you're already broke. So fuck it.
All right, back to thank you, Travis J. 1975 for bringing Strippers Guild yet into another TableBreakers conversation. Thank you for beating us to it.
So and make sure you're using dollars, because when you use quarters, they really hate it when you make it hail.
Wow. All right, so back to the questions at hand.
Hold on. What does Bruce just put up? Free game?
Yep.
Doom.
What
Doom
game?
64. Doom 64.
Ooh, that was a fun game.
For the computer.
Oh, okay.
Now, the zombies have to be possessed by some kind of zombie pox. Holy shit. See, that's a whole different conversation there, Mr. Australian.
Wait. I don't know anybody stumbled on zombies. I'm sorry. Sorry for you types, but no, you're kind of alone.
Wait, are we doing like the Boy Scouts guide to the zombie apocalypse now?
All right. I actually do have another question.
I think that's a part two.
Donald, check that out.
There is no other book you need to read. Right here. This is the only book you need to read. There's
John Ringo.
John Ringo's Under a Graveyard Sky. There you go. There's your zombies in war, all you can ever want.
I don't recognize those two races, or I'm an idiot.
Formians are the big ants, medium-sized ants. And Myconids are the fungus people.
Oh, from the Underdark.
Yes.
Yes.
That would be a very interesting campaign to run.
See, the Formians, I would think, would actually beat the Myconids, but not kill them. They would just enslave them and use them to make various funguses and various things for spices. Because that's what real ants do. Ants will not kill another colony outright unless you just can't fucking use them. But if they can keep them alive and enslave them, they'll do that. Ants are badass, by the way. If you kids want to get into entomology, because it's a fun science, it is.
It is.
Yeah, just ask my son. That's one of his jams.
I did Terminix for 4 years, man. I get it.
Yeah, I did Terminix too. That's funny.
I didn't.
Not as long.
Okay, so when doing a war campaign, do you want your PCs to be officers, generals in the war? Are they the ones that get told what to do by a higher up? And if they are being told by the ones that get hired up, do they ever rise through the ranks, or do they still stay the little band of misfits that they really are? I will start with Bruce.
You would ask if they would they stay the little band they are?
Yeah, would they move up through the ranks? Would they start off with leadership ranks, or what would you do?
Okay, we're going to go back to last week's discussion where we have to have like the right crew for that, because there are sometimes you can run a campaign and the players will jump right into whatever you're throwing, and they'll just eat it up. They'll go into it and they'll be like, "Yeah, give me 70 NPC followers. Yeah, I'm down for this." And they start giving them names and titles, and they figure out how much money they're going to be out every week. They figure out how to have to pay for them and how to fucking move them and push them around. And then you have players that are like, "I don't want to deal with any of that." No, wait, I got to run my cohort too. I have to pick their spell. What do you mean? Wait, pick spells? No, they just have spells, right? No, I've got to pick them. Leadership isn't for me. So it all depends what table I've got. It really does. Because if I've got a group of people that are going to embrace it and grab a hold of it and hug it and squeeze it and milk it for everything that is, they're going to go up the ranks and they're going to have all the jams associated with responsibility, including headaches and lack of sleep and fatigue. And then worse yet, you've got to deliver the notes to Mommy Smith when little Bobby dies because he stepped on a drow improvised explosive device. You get to do that later when you guys get sent off the front lines. So, yeah, I'll give the players that responsibility if they can handle it. But if the players can't handle it, you're just special forces, okay, Bobby? And rub them on the back. You're special forces.
Special.
And just give them that. You know, they can't handle catapult crew. They can't handle trying to be an engineer on a ballista. They couldn't handle the figure. Wait, I have to figure out the vector for the arc. Yeah, it's only 200-yard shot. Blaine's like, give me that fucking question. My players dropping the ball. They wither. They wither when you give them like a real work they have to do. Blaine's here is like, dude, I've been playing Minecraft the whole time I'm in your campaign because I want the work.
The notebook I'm currently working on right now, actually.
So it just all depends. If my players are up for the challenge, they're gonna see more of the campaign than what other groups wouldn't.
See you soon, James Bell.
If they can't handle that, they're getting just like this linear path, and they're navigating through large swaths of NPCs that are possibly allies, and maybe they get a few handshakes and, oh, you're special forces, that's awesome, dude. My two brothers just got killed by hobgoblin squatters. What? You know, and they get that. But it just all depends on what type of players we have. That's all.
All right. Now, Kai, would you like to go next?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Look, it's simple. Some players are born to be, just born to be like, fuck it. If you're playing in an era where you can have social generals, where you can buy a rank, Rome, the Steiners in BattleTech, the French, where you can the Ancien regime where you can just, I'm a noble, of course I'm in charge. Yeah, you can put players in there and good luck and let players fail. But let's be honest, some players are officers, some players are NCOs, and some players are just, the enlisted grunts. You're going to have to just accept that. Bruce touched on that. Sure, I've got players who are like happy to be in charge, and I go, here's your first lesson on what you should do. I won't throw the book at you and go, here, have the manual. Read it. Well, GM, have you read the manual? I have. What's in the manual? That's for you to find out. You need to learn. Or I'll walk you through it. And if you can do well, I'll work you up. And then work you around. I have some players who are great at conceptual idea of, I want that hill. Get that hill. And then you pass it to the player who goes, I am all about tactical. Oh, my party, I have all your party, I have all your abilities planned out, guys. This is the battle plan. That's the guy you go, I want him to be my sergeant. The officer is off daydreaming, staring at the sky and going, I want over there. You figure out how to do it, and he comes out a battle plan. Oh, it's gonna be a beautiful one. It's amazing. And then you have your poor enlisted guys who are staring at the one planner going, I have no idea what you're talking about, but it sounds brilliant. Let's go. And boom, you have the order of operations figured out. It's great. And because that's the player dynamic, you always have one or two people who are great, and everybody else in the party is followers. I'm sorry, this is how it always works. There's always somebody who stomps the fuck on everybody else. It's just how it works. And there's always that one guy. This is where you love the power gamer, the min-maxer, the guy who knows the rules. He's your sergeant. Let him fucking do everything for it. Whip the rest of the bitches in line. It's like, you fuckers aren't doing your job right. Get your gear straight. Why the fuck don't you have your shit? He's your job. He runs rail on the rest of your party. He fucking does everything. And sure, everyone's like, but I want to be an officer too. No, Billy, you're not qualified to be an officer, but I want to be one. I don't like being yelled at. No, but you do like following orders. You do like being told what to do, where to move, how to act. You're pretty much just fucking, you know what your job is, but you just don't want it because we're all friends and I don't want to have it. You fucking signed up for the goddamn game. You knew what job you were fucking you took. You wanted to be the guy who's humping the goddamn e-web. Of course you're going to be that fucking asshole. And here's your one buddy who's carrying the battery pack. And here's your other buddy who's carrying your fucking, the mount it sits on. You wanted it. Congrats. There you go. And you just wanted to blow shit up. Okay, cool. You're a specialist. Go over there. Fucking look. If we're doing this shit, you're all fucking doing this. Like, now, every once in a while, I get that one guy who goes. Now, that's if you want to do the army thing. And you can also have the flight, space or the Navy, where you get to have somebody who goes, I'm on a command track. I want to be in charge of a ship one day. Cool. You got this one day. They get the one guy goes, look, my entire goal is I want to keep the warp core from exploding. Cool. I have a career track just for you. I want to shoot the big gun. Okay, buddy. You got a job over here. I got it. And suddenly everyone has their place. Everyone has their job. And every once in a while I get that one guy who goes, I want to do staff work. That is all I want to do. And you're like, I'm going to wrap you in bubble wrap, promote, and put you over here. And don't die. Don't die. Please don't die. I need you. To do what? All my bitch work, all my paperwork. I need you to do this shit. But no, I don't get to go out and say, now, do they get to move up the ranks? Well, of course you get to move up the ranks. If you do your job, do your job right, say the right words, do the right things, earn your points, make sure you follow all the rules, kiss the right ass, and you get to go up. Congratulations. This is how the shit works. You can have fun. Players get to go, yay, I get to. And never do this whole thing of like, I went up a level. Does that mean I get the? No, you don't. What? I'm sorry. You kind of were an asshole yesterday to somebody who was actually important. And they said, fuck you. No, you don't get to have fun. So, yeah.
Okay, so who wants to follow that bit of wisdom? Shadow?
Can you reread the question?
Yes, I can. If you're running a war campaign, do you promote your characters up through the ranks, or do you start them off with said ranks, or do you keep them the little ragtag Suicide Squad that they really are?
It depends on the game. If you're playing a fantasy game in their first level, then they're first level. Why would you promote them to general or anything besides being first level? That's how the game works. They have to earn everything they get from that point on. If you're running a sci-fi game, Traveler, for example, if you roll up a character that has just come out of the military with X rank and he's now in a war situation, he's probably going to maintain and keep that rank. It really depends on the game and what point the war hits the players. It's not just suddenly your first level and a general. You could be, no matter who you're related to, still shoved into a first level position. Otherwise, you are kind of potentially forcing players into things that they're completely not ready for. Especially in a fantasy game. All other games, it really depends on the game engine, wouldn't you think? That, like I said before with Traveler, the players, when they're done making their characters, have achieved certain things in their lives that would pretty much put them in a specific place in this situation. They wouldn't just, well, I was, a lieutenant colonel, now I'm on the front lines. I don't think so. Nor would they be put into special forces unless that was the only option. And, the players kind of, bullied you into letting these situations happen. Rank has a lot of meaning usually, and it's usually earned through actions and deeds. Therefore, you would be put in a position where you're of most use.
All right, that's a fair answer. I'm just thinking of times like throughout history where like a soldier gets out of college, it's West Point or something, and they're giving a rank right out of the bat. But they also went to school for X amount of years. So what about you, Baron? What do you have to say?
Well, what I usually do is when they start out, if it's going to be like a war campaign, I will actually start them out as a squad. So whereas they're going out and then they stumble over this weird and unusual thing and then kind of go along with that. So the thing is that, and by making the discoveries they do during that, by the way, Bruce, I think Kai wants to be regular sized again. There you go.
Thank you.
Sorry, Kai. I was looking for
really
I was looking for the way to add some lighting effects, like when he was in mid rant, to like just show the light beaming onto him, and he was being all ethereal.
It looked like he was listening to something else and singing.
Saint Kai's avatar was coming real. We were going to see the divine package.
Whoa!
Crazy.
No, that's on OnlyFans. That's OnlyFans.
Crazy. That's all I'm going to say.
No. This is the Only Hands Network.
Ew. Anyways, what are you saying?
Sign me up. No. But no, the first level, and then they just kind of they go over some things, they find some things, they take it back to report. All of a sudden, it's like, well, you know what? You guys found this in this area, and what the players don't know. Well, this also has been a place where they've lost like 3 squads. Well, these players overcame it. Wait, these guys may actually have some. And then they just slowly keep an eye on them, moving them up the ranks. Their squad gets, becomes more of and you do that same breakdown like what Kai was saying. You've got in military terms, you have the butter bar that doesn't have any idea what he's doing. You have the NCO that's leading him around by the nose. And everyone else has their place, and that is how that squad is going to operate. And it's kind of the same approach I take. but I tend to just I make the story make sense on why they're getting promoted. They're not getting promoted because they are, and yes, I said story.
Time and
But the thing is that we want it to reflect on why things are happening. Yes, there are things happening in the background. You're moving the pieces. The enemy is moving their pieces, so everyone doesn't know what's going on. And then all of a sudden, somebody takes the little pieces that they have and is able to start forensically reconstructing what exactly is going on. And and when you get that moment when you drop the the big bad or whatever you're going to do, they figure out who the enemy actually is. Because typically, the way I run it, the enemy is not going to be the guy that they're seeing on the front lines. That's cannon fodder. That's the guy that the rogue sneaks up behind with a ballista and sneak attacks him. Okay, the beef stroganoff all over. Done. But it's the whole thing of it has to make sense on why they're making the ranks. They're not making the rank because they're the main focus of the story. Ooh, I said it again twice. But it is that they are the only group that has started pulling some of these pieces in for either them to figure it out or someone higher up on the food chain to figure out, oh shit. And even in today's military, if you have people like that, they get fast tracked. I've seen it. They can go from they get all the waivers, and within I've actually seen within a few months going from like an E2 to an E4, and then being on boards to go for their 5. So I mean, I've depending on how you do things and how you in war, how you conduct yourself, and the information that you're able to bring back from those scouting parties and everything else, that is going to determine where they're going to fall in the pecking order.
Okay. Bruce?
What was your question? I apologize, Connell, but I was enjoying what Garrett was thinking without I'll be next.
It's all right. Everybody here has given really good answers to this question. So the question is, so far as stated, do you promote your rank wise? Do you let your characters rank up mid game? Do you start them up as a rank at the beginning of the campaign, or do you keep them as the ragtag Suicide Squad that they really are?
90% of the time, the players are a ragtag Suicide Squad because they're not really going to fit in too well with the butter bars and the nobility that have their kids, leveled up, level 2 fighters and myrmidons, and they're not going to really fit in too well with, the kid fresh off the farm that has never been kissed by a girl and hasn't had his first drink yet. They're going to try to avoid those large encampments and not be around those people too severely because that's where the action you don't want to be a part of is. And so most of the players I have the mindset that they don't want to be around that. That's a fireball spell in the middle of the night ready to happen. So they will have an encampment far, far, far off from the main group, and they'll be hanging up in trees. They have their ghillie suits, or they have their sleeping bags at the Y of a tree, so they can have it strapped properly and roped in, so they don't fall out in the middle of the evening. And there'll be a guy on watch, and you'll have a fire about 30 or 40 foot below that might lure in unsuspecting individuals, but wanting to be curious. Is there a campsite here? It's just a campfire. What the fuck? no campsite. And they'll have like rigged traps, so they can try to get the drop on things, and then they are surprised when they get woke up because somebody just hit the trap. And well, you're really not as paranoid and light sleeper as you thought you were, are you? Not when you're tired, not when you're fatigued and haven't slept for 30 hours. So that typically, I don't want my players to have to deal with things that are on the mass basis of like most militaries. Because once I start doing things like you're all part of the Army, all right, at what point do I take off the training wheels? All right, you're the Lance Corporal. You take care of all these guys. At what point do I do that?
Ooh, that's
At
a hard
what
one.
point do I say again?
That's a hard question.
It is. And the thing is that there's a lot of players I have that they would rather not have to deal with that. They would rather just play a game that's got a story, and oh yeah, well I'm a elf badass, and I go around forests and I kill hobgoblins, and that's their primary focus. They don't want to have to think about, well, I've got to study for this test coming up, otherwise I'll never make specialist, or I've got to figure out how to run these NPCs better and make a better diplomacy score when I roll. That way I could have a higher result when it comes time for our Army-wide exam. Because for the past 6 months, we've been in a war, but I've not done a single thing but just been in this campsite. And I've gone to 4 different locations. And all they are is just the same repeat of the last location, but they were previously vacated by other people in our forces. You don't really, do you really want to get that mired in it and just give that authentic military life that a lot of veterans have, where, yeah, you were a wartime vet, great, because like the United States has not been in war for 8 years. It was a country. So the rest of you are all wartime vets, even though you don't really recognize it. And sorry, kids. What?
Now,
Go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to say that you don't have to abuse the players with all of that, because it helps to know the baseline.
Yes.
And you don't have to go full simulationist, but it helps to know the baseline, so that way you can extrapolate, and then you can make the interesting deviations from it. So like once you know the core rules, you can make it more fun. While yes, I know how miserable it can be, but part of me, but some people are like, but yeah, I kind of want to play a Hogan's Heroes campaign, or part of me wants to run a Black Sheep Squadron campaign. I know that the Air Force would be a right bastard, but I think it'd be more fun if we So yeah, where the holes can happen, where you can have a McHale's Navy, where you can have a Rogue Squadron episode going on, a campaign going, where that somewhere there's a fobbit out there who fucking hates you, who wants to skin you and wear your skin as a goddamn shawl, because he's a goddamn book following asshole. But you get shit done, and somebody higher up goes, "Don't stop him. Don't stop them. They're actually doing shit." But sir, they're not following regulations. Having to know a few of them allows you to know what you're doing wrong and what they're doing wrong, and how you can make the game fun without having to go, you're all part of Special Operations Command, and you're all doing badass things around in badass town, and we're going to drop you off to go kill bad guys so you can continue to be badasses. Or you can just go, no, you're all a bunch of misfits. We know you're misfits. And how the hell did you get a Tiger tank?
E4 Mafia.
Yeah, don't ask. But do you have parts for it? Yes. How? Don't ask. You're right. The Mafia goes, we're good at this. Where's your actual tank? We traded it.
Made in Russia.
Made in Russia. Yes.
That's from Farmer.
Yes. And somehow you're like, but how? Look, we all have shit. And, in the background, each time the camera pans back, there's more. The pile of loot has gotten bigger, and somehow it's being wheeled off in a cart at the end of the scene. shit like that. It's like once you know how miserable it can actually be, there's the more fun you get to have. Or it's like along the way we found some Nepalese guys. Hello, we lost. Okay. We have some guys now who are here to do all of our bitch work. Fantastic. Okay, where did you get all that shit? Don't ask. And you get to have some more fun. You get to actually extrapolate these games out to being more and more fun. Yeah, every once in a while, beat the shit out of them. Because some players are like, yeah, I kind of want that Band of Brothers. I want that Saving Private Ryan game. And you're like, okay, I guess you're going to have some. But even then, they're going to go. But even then, your players are going to go. But we are kind of still assholes, and we are still players. And I know the Garand is a really good gun, but I really want that. I really want that Sturmgewehr over there. I really want that. And I'm going to take it off a dead body, and then all the ammo from dead bodies, and then everything else. And then eventually, like, you're all Germans now. No. We're still wearing American uniforms. But look. When was the last time somebody gave us supplies? You're right. So it's easy to kill them and take their shit. Fucking okay. I guess we're playing Wolfenstein now. And the game goes on and has more fun. You get to do cool shit, but it all comes from, yeah, I know how bad it really is. I know what the rules really are, but it's all about having a bit of fun. Going, yeah, but the players are going to steal something, and they're going to go crazy with it, and let them. Like, sure, it's that player who steals a TIE fighter. Why? Why do you steal a TIE fighter? Because it wasn't strapped down? Okay, good enough reason. Fly it and kill everything until it breaks. Got it, sir. Got it. And, that's where you might get a player who goes, I have this RPG. Where'd you get that? I have it. Cool. Do something. Meanwhile, that somebody would probably come along, slap you on the wrist and go, give that. You can't have that. And then take it away from you, and you go, oh, well, I'm glad that, some pinheads back, in Aberdeen get to play with the toys I just captured. I mean, that's going to be nice when they go through and test all that stuff I just captured that I don't get to have, GM. Thanks a lot, asshole. And you're like, well, you can't have that. Fuck. Meanwhile, somewhere in the background, you got a player who's going, good, I can't have this, but no one's going to search this mailbox. I'm going to mail back to myself in the States. And then you get back to the States like, ha, there, I got some stuff. You can't have that. I sent some money to somebody else. Like, shit happens. You get to have some fun with it. Again, know where the rules are and know where to break it and make it more interesting. Because players like to know that they're beating the system. And yeah, every once in a while you gotta catch them, slap a wrist, or show somebody else getting captured, slap the wrist on, and you get to have some more fun. Make the game interesting, because by God, making it a boring war simulation, which is like why I love Twilight 2000. Yes, it's a horrible, gritty situation, but everything's falling apart. There's no one higher telling you to do anything. Have some fucking fun. Hell, you can just change the game around a bit. Oh no! There's so much more you can do. Way more to do.
Okay. So, Bruce, did you answer the question the best you wanted to before St. Kai stepped in?
Yeah, I think that's perfect.
All right.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. No, I appreciate you doing what you're doing. So does the chat. I mean, there's a reason why we're saying it to you.
Yeah,
that's the word I'm going to use. So when building a war campaign, do you do the George R.R. Martin train of thought where you use real wars from world history, or do you try to keep it completely fantasy where, I don't want to say the term war is war, but to a certain degree, it kind of is in certain fantasy campaigns, and probably I'm thinking sci-fi games. But do you try to keep it original, or do you guys use it? Do you take lessons throughout history from like the War of the Roses, or somebody in the comments says my lizard folks all speak Vietnamese. So I guess the question is, where do you get your idea for your war campaigns? From history, from fantasy, or from the ether? That was a well-rounded question. I'm sorry, guys. I want to start with Shadow, the master of the lit cigarette.
Well, seeing as how I've tried to ignore as much of history as possible, I'm going to go with whatever the situation dictates. The game's going to have its own unique flavor and facts, and I'm going to go with those, whatever those may be, whether it's a fantasy game or a sci-fi game. I rarely run anything other than maybe Boot Hill that's anything other than that. They're one of the two categories. Obviously, Shauner's going to tell me that fantasy or science fiction is fantasy, but that's a whole nother topic. Yeah, I don't try to emulate anything that's ever really happened. If it does happen, cool. But I'm going to try to be as original as possible. And if I stray and accidentally copy something that happened before, welcome to the club. We're all going to be guilty of that. We're all going to knowingly or unknowingly borrow from things that have influenced us in life. But I'm going to try to keep it as grounded in the game world that the story, everybody drink, I can't, that's taking place around them. I'm not going to try to, make it just like this one particular battle from this one particular war that happened here on Earth. Most of my players are going to see right through that. And, if I am completely ignorant on things that have happened in the real world, then I'm just going to look at that as a happy accident. I'm going to just try to keep it as original as possible, as difficult as that may be.
Okay. Bruce?
This campaign started off, the one I'm running on Saturday, my players didn't want to take any of the hooks I had for them. They just wanted to sit around and make experience points just kind of happen. And I wasn't having any of that. They just quit following a bunch of donkey handlers, and I was really upset. And so they were sitting in a bar one night, and I'm like, you know what? It's time for you guys to suffer. And so I started running a campaign based on a war, because nothing will piss players off more than hearing your logistic lines are messed up. You're not going to get what you want. Can't craft what you want. You're going to have to get your hands dirty and get on some donkeys, start moving products places for you to get the things you want, for you to get the spell casting that you want, for you to be able to craft the things you want or need. And that's where this all started. My players just were shutting down, and I almost lost the table because I had half the table wanting to do one thing and the other half the table wanting to do another. And instead, I just gave them an enemy. Yep, the town you're in is getting under attack. They're under siege. Because you guys were unable to come to a consensus. You guys don't know how to reach across the table and be like, let's do this first, we'll do this idea second, this third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. You couldn't prioritize. So I gave you priority. I forced you into position. And now, because that's going on, I know what I'm doing for the next 9 to 10 months. And that's where we're at now.
Gotcha. Remind me to thank the players that were sitting on their ass before me and Shadow jumped in, because it's been a great campaign so far. Kai?
Repeat question.
Where do you get your influence for your war campaign? It being from real life history, like, Roses, War of the Roses, it being from the ether or wherever. Where do you get your idea for your war campaigns?
I'm going to say history. Boy, am I going to say history. Because there's so many books. But the thing is that I don't copy anything directly, but it helps to understand what I'm going to be doing, how things operate. how people moved, how things like. Sure, I mean, considering that most writers are actually kind of hacks too, so going, I'm inspired by a book or a movie, they were probably inspired by history. So knowing how how cultures operate, how various things work, yeah, I'm going to usually when I'm figuring out a war, how I'm going to operate it, how I'm going to fix it, I'm going to usually pick a culture, figure and then extrapolate out from there because, well, Aztecs didn't have this, no, but they had a certain philosophy, and if I give them similar technology bases, I can figure out, I can kind of extrapolate out how they would function. So therefore, I can figure out how an Aslan army might actually function if they had, oh, I don't know, steel weaponry and firearms, or I might be able to figure out how to update a Mongol horde to be more they're actually up on par with you. Oh wait, they already are. Knowing how Janissaries fight, knowing how the Parthians operate, knowing how the Kurds beat the shit out of everybody, knowing how all of these groups function, so that way you're not just simply going, well, I watched the opening scene to Gladiator. I think I know how barbarians fight. No, you don't. No, you don't. But you could. It might mean reading some books, some Roman documents. You might want to actually look at. Many of them wrote books on what the Germanic areas were like. Oh, I want to do Vikings. Did you do some You could do some studying. Now you might know how the Vikings operate. I want to know how the British fight. Which British are we talking about here? Oh, English, British. Okay, cool. Scots. Go ahead. There's so much to learn. So many ideas. So many personalities that you can do. Sure, it helps. Knowing a bit of how the Golden Horde operates. Wow, you want to know how a cavalry army fights? Awesome. Now you know. Congrats. You want to figure out how to make a spear army work? Cool. That's now you know how to do this, and now you can make. And okay, so we're gonna play some sci-fi. Did you start reading some sci-fi books? Again, I will point to John Ringo and go read his shit. Yeah, it's well. If you want to read some Heinlein, if you want some classic, Ringo is just moving on to following. Follow these people. Read other. You don't need to read real battles. So when you read a bad, and I won't even say read a bad novel, because even then you can picture that makes no fucking sense. That was bullshit. Why did you choose that? Why did they choose that thing? And then you get to go. Now I can figure out how to rewrite that, how to twist it, how to make it better, and get a better story out of it, how to get a better game, how to actually run things. Or if you play a lot of wargaming, dear God, if you're a wargamer, if you play any kind of actual epic, old Adapt Titanicus Epic 40K shit, you suddenly get to go, okay, I have an idea how to move disparate forces. If you start figuring out, okay, this is how certain things operate. This is how I got to worry about things. Now you start figuring out adding in, well, wait, because Baron brought in brought supply lines. Well, now you got to worry about that. Are you also worrying about communication delays? Because guess what? Are you going to sit there with a guy on a hilltop with flags flailing around trying to go, this is how we communicate over distances, while the other guy goes, wow, cool, flag squad's out there today. And hope that, start having that shit. Well, all right, I got cavalry guys out there. Do you know where, send a messenger. They're on horseback, right? The cavalry on horseback, right? Yeah. Where the fuck are they? And so you get problems. This has happened. We'd like to use the artillery, but that takes us 5 hours to set the fucker up. Okay. So we just need to, middle of the night, start figuring out how to do things, have more fun. And yes, knowing some limitations, so that way it isn't just simply, well, we all showed up, we all sneak and hide behind trees, and then on the count of 3, 1, 2, we all scream really loud, roll initiative, and go charging in combat. No. Put some thought into it, and Yeah, it means studying. It means learning. It means figuring out more shit than you would like to know about way too much stuff. And have people look at it and go, why do you care about all of this shit? I go, because I want to run a fun game that's actually entertaining and have my players feel rewarded. Because I don't want my players always walking in there going, hey, I got dudes. I march my dudes up and we slam them like action figures until one dude falls over. Nope.
Unfortunately, I can see that. There's certain groups. All right, Baron, you're the man who gets to ask the question last, and with it being 10 minutes till 10 minutes before the show's over, would you like to send us home or start singing us home after you answer said question?
I don't sing.
Okay. Send us home. Did I say
You
sing
said
us home?
You said sing me. Sing
You
me
know
home.
what?
Said
I haven't had my amount of alcohol today, therefore I'm a little.
Hold on. I have to do this. I have not done this on stream, so it's time to do this.
Uh-oh.
Blah blah. I'm the Sea Guardian. Blah blah blah. Words. Okay. So yeah, the what was the question again?
It starts with this, and it goes
Later. I told you.
When getting inspiration for your campaign, do you look at history? Do you look at movies, or do you just pull it out of the ether and make it work?
I pull stuff out of the ether. I've got a few random generator websites that give me some ideas. I mean, when I run a campaign, I don't write anything down. I run it completely off the cuff. The players drive where I'm taking. I know where okay. I know where we're starting, and I know where we want to be and what's going to happen once we get there. Because those parts I've planned out, but the journey to get from point A to point B is completely off the cuff. The last campaign that I ran, I had someone who got bit in the butt by a giant ant, and then she failed her saves a 40-foot climb going down an empty well.
Oh wow!
Well, first level. Rolled. It was 4d6 or 3d6, I should say. So yeah, they wound up killing her outright. I was responsible for her first death ever in a RPG.
You sound kind of happy about
glorious.
this.
It was my second ever player kill. I'm happy. Most people are like, "Oh, I've killed thousands." Me, 2, and both of them were dumb decisions by players.
All right.
But no, typically when I'm doing it, I do it. I may look at history just to give me an idea of a flow for something, but importing that directly in, no. I typically, like I said, I know where point A to point B is, and it's just kind of a journey with the players to see how we get there.
Makes sense.
Because
Now,
the reason I do that is because, and I know a lot of people are sitting, no, you have to plan everything out. You have to know exactly what you're doing. No, because if you start doing that, this is what happens. Because I used to do that. The players will go, oh, look. For instance, as they're walking down a path, I make reference of a black orc arrow stuck in a tree. The players spent a half an hour studying it, trying to figure out why it was there, trying to remove it, trying to see if they could, see if there was any orcs in the nearby area. It was a whole thing, and all it was fluff text. It was an arrow that a tree had actually grown around the head because it had been in the tree so long. So give the play less is more with the players. The less you give them to kind of show them where you want to go, all you got to say is this is where the job that you've been hired for is at. And you have X amount of time to get there. And then it's up to them to get there. Now, if they take more time, well, guess what? That job's not there. Now what are they going to do? They've spent all the money on provisions and healing and everything else because there's been some fights along the way. They've gotten banged up and bruised. You know, they're adventurers. This is what they're paid for. But when they get there and there's no paycheck, that is what hurts them the most. And then from then on out, when they say, "Oh, you got a job here," man, they beeline it because they're like, we ain't gonna let this go again. So, you know, like I said, I tend to play it, you know, for the most part, off the cuff.
So not so much war as against a bad guy, but a war against their wallet. All right. Well, there's about 4 minutes left of the of this chat, and thank you, Bruce, for letting me be the person who gets to ask the questions.
You know, you did good.
Thank you ever so kindly.
I didn't hear anybody complaining about it.
Not yet.
Give it time. Give it time.
The comments aren't open yet.
Yeah.
No doubt one of us will have pissed off somebody. It's the internet.
It's okay.
It's
Remember,
only Thursday.
it's better to be pissed off than pissed on, unless you're into that.
True.
Before we adjourn, next week I want to continue on the war topic because I feel this is still got there's a lot of meat on this bird.
Oh, we didn't touch anything.
No, we didn't. There's like 3 weeks of me and Kai you three could go and like just drink Kool-Aid on stream and me and Kai could just talk about shit.
Oh God, yes.
So next week, folks, it's just going to be Bruce and Kai, and the rest of us are going to sit here and look pretty.
But if you guys,
heard it here first.
I recommend you interact, especially you, Shadow. You've done this like maybe 7-10 times in the last 15 years, maybe.
More than that, but yeah.
And we got a guy, Jade, who wasn't here tonight, who I wanted to be here. And I want him to sit, even though he doesn't do it right, sit in. Be part of the panel.
Hold on. I seriously doubt he did it wrong.
Me too. I completely agree.
Let's face it, we wouldn't be here if all our players were stellar.
Oh dear
If we had
God.
the best players ever. A couple of my players are epic, but I've had players that have committed every possible player character sin you can imagine, from buying the module that I'm running and reading up on it to, out and out, die roll cheating, to lying, to erasing and rewriting on character sheets things that don't exist, thinking I'm not going to notice, to bullying other players, fist fights, interpersonal improprieties, etc. You name it, I've seen it all. If I had nothing but fantastic players, you probably would have never met me.
Now, since we all are thinking that there is more meat on this bird, and I'm not disagreeing with that. But maybe next week's version of going to wars, what did we do wrong as DMs? Where was the
Nothing. I guess I'm not going to be here.
Hold on. Let me get this out before, because none of us are perfect. Maybe Shadow is, but none of us are perfect. Maybe there was a misstep in the module. Maybe there was a misstep on whatever. But there was something that happened that we get to hindsight's 20/20, and we can analyze that and how to do it better next time.
It starts with the players.
Also, the DM is also a part of this, though.
Not if he doesn't want to, and then there's no issue.
I don't know, but that's where we're going to. That could be a fun conversation where we disagree. We are talking about war.
We can start there, but we won't end there.
Oh yeah.
Well, I really enjoyed tonight's content. I can't wait for next week. This is a great panel. We've got a lot of things to discuss. Jade, if you want to be part of it next week, I please implore you to sit in with us. Because bouncing off of you always provides another couple questions that we sometimes don't ask.
Oh, yeah.
Chimerian, you've been busy with work lately. Are you going to be doing much more? You're logging a book up with things for our campaign.
Yes. That's. I've been actually working on the NPCs that for the council, giving them names, personalities, and some a little bit of background for them all. Then I've also got the various towns and their current construction schedules, planning it out for several. Look, I worked 60 hours and school started back up, so I now focus on running that war campaign, by the way, and your war campaign. And I'm between fishing and having a social life away from gaming. If I hit the record button, that'd be nice.
Hey, wait, you fish?
Yeah.
Where? I don't trust anywhere here to fish anywhere here in this area.
We enjoy Banner Marsh.
That's fair. That's
Banner
fair.
Marsh is good. If you're just going just for the experience, go to Powerton and
Yeah.
throw it back.
Yeah, Powerton's good.
I don't believe in catch and release. I believe catch and eat, but that's my.
We also like Spring Lake is also pretty good. So
Where?
Spring Lake.
Oh God, yeah.
Anyways, this is not the fishing channel. This is the RP channel.
we can vary up a bit. Like 4 out of 5 of us here are familiar with the fish holes around that area.
Yeah.
Shadow, you've been a industrious man lately. What is the video that you produced as of most recently that you're like, you guys got to check this out? What would be the video you'd post? You'd talk about?
Wow, that's a toughie. Because we haven't done any of our normal craft videos this month. Honestly, I would go with last Sunday's video where my son, I'm going to give you guys all a little sneak peek. This is the Phoenix that he's been painting.
Hold on. Hold it right there.
That looks really good.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Is that
The
a
kid's
water
fucking
theme, or
amazing.
is that- how did you guys craft that?
We got it with the Kickstarter from Dungeons and Lasers. You
Okay.
can buy this miniature separately for about $30, assemble it, which is what I did, primered it, and then he just went to town on it, and it's just stunning.
That's beautiful, dude.
He's just about exceeded me when it comes to fire. I can't paint fire for shit, but everything else, I'm still, the master when it comes to painting. But he spent like 3 hours on it, and he's just about done.
Ooh,
But I would go check him out. The kid is just, he's 14. He's been painting miniatures for 2 years, and mind you, he paints less than 3 hours a month. And that's how much he's learned.
Great.
So he's literally got less than 50 hours of experience, probably. Maybe 75 hours worth of painting experience, and he's pulling that off. I was painting a fire elemental alongside him, and I had to re-primer it because it looked like shit. And I'm going to let him do it. I'm like, you're the fire guy. And it's funny because that's his YouTuber handle is Lava Lord, so You want to do fire? Cool. Everything else, I still got some tricks up my sleeve. But
Every
yeah,
time
that's the video.
every time I see his handle on DM James or wherever, I see Lava Lord, and maybe it's because he is young as he is, or I'm a smartass. I see Lava Lad and Shark Girl
Oh yeah,
or whatever.
I've teased him with that since he was a little pup. I used to call him, something similar or that back. Mind you, he got that from when he was like 6 or 8 years old, watching the old Bionicle Lego videos with the song "Move Along" with the lava, the Bionicle characters surfing on lava, and he would literally watch that video for hours and hours on end, and studying fire and all the other million things that make him the boy genius that he is. Um, he's just it comes so far. If you guys really want to see, go back to our very first episode when, I kid you not, he was 2 feet shorter and a little squeaker compared to now, where he's doing the JROTC thing and top of his class everywhere he goes. He's just absolutely amazing. And if he keeps it up, he'll be able to do this kind of thing and anything else he wants in life. And one of these days, he'll be where we are, and one of the biggest names in the business. Mind you, it'll be 10, 20 years from now. But if he keeps hanging out with all you guys, the kid can't fail. That's why he needs to hang out with you, Kai, and you, Baron, a little bit more, or at all, because he's barely met you, Kai. He knows you, Baron, but one of these days, maybe we'll find a way for you guys to actually have some conversations, because ask Connell how well he held his own on DM James' chat until 1 o'clock in the morning.
Kid's smart.
The kid is smart. It's kind of an understatement, but let's go with that. Don't
God,
want to
I feel lame. I can't even do 1 in the morning anymore.
I can't.
And you know what?
With
And
a
you know
little
what?
help from my friends.
Not only did he do till 1:30 in the morning with DM James. James wants him back on, just him and James. But he was up early so he could take a shower the next morning for school. Yeah. I slept the whole next day. Well, yeah.
Yeah, as I said before.
I've been retired for almost 15 years. I can do whatever the hell I want.
See, I gotta find a counterpart that has a little bit of my train of thought next time I go onto the DM Jam show with your kid, because there's nothing better than getting kicked every which way from a 14-year-old and a grown man. I'm like, I have no ground. I quit. I keep my mouth shut.
Good luck. The invitation with DM James is usually wide open, but and I wouldn't take it so hard. You just need to maybe show how we're the same, not how we're different.
That's fair. That's fair. So, Bruce.
Well, I've been going over designs for my mugs. I'm going to put out a mug set, and I've got to figure out. I know I want to do the. Oh, by the way, those are the commemorative Anakin Skywalker lava lamps.
Sweet.
So I'm going to be doing an only hands mugs, where I have my hands with a figurine and paintbrush, and start your game off right. Use miniatures, and
We'll be down for 4.
I'll be getting the designs released here in about 2 weeks. I've got to go and start working on getting the capture done right and have my hands squared away, and it might just be a capture from that little crappy camera. But I really want to do that. That's the Only Hands Network. I need to probably get that trademarked.
I'm a dirty old man.
OHN, and I think that'd be a fun thing to do, because I do a lot of art streams whenever I get the chance, and Sundays it's a regular thing with Machini. But that's what I want to do, and I did get monetized, so I'm happy as fuck. Appreciate you guys helping me out get there. And if you want to give to me, give to Garrett. Give to other people that got things going on. I do I need money? Absolutely, everybody does. But like, there's charities out there to help people that are in real trouble. Okay, we're not there yet. We're far from there. I'm still employed. I'm still sucking shit for a daily job. So I'll put some merch out there, and that'll be the way I prefer to receive money. You guys, other than that, I really had fun tonight. Baron, G-Rock, Connell, you guys got stuff going on?
Baron, you can go first.
Yeah, I'm working on a few things, getting some stuff set up. Probably this weekend I'll be on the Twitch doing some gaming. So yeah, probably on Saturday.
Okay. Thanks, fucker.
Did not, only walked her home.
What about you, Connell?
I feel like I say this a lot, but it is the truth of the matter. I will be spending 9 to 12 hours on Saturday with some really good RPers who like to throw dice and, take on the greater evil and show it what greater good can do. Tomorrow, I will most likely hang out with Max, in theory. Never really know. Saturday night, I will be hanging out with Shadow and Sun for his chat, and probably also hanging out with Nathan, who is a really cool guy. When he gets his channel going, I want everybody out there to like and subscribe to his videos, because he is a smart person on the subject that he likes to talk about, and it is worth listening to.
He's actually been around for a while. He's cruising up on 600 subs, been doing his thing for a while. He and I have been friends for a while as well. And yeah. Check out Nathan Allen if you get a chance. If you're into UFOs and robots and droids and Star Wars and all that stuff, I'm actually going to do a video just on him sometime real soon.
Then on Sunday. Boy, am I going to get screwed when football starts going up again. But on Sunday, me and the guy.
That was a monster truck thing.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter at this juncture. Let me finish my statement. Anyways, Sunday, me and Shadow and Sun will be reviewing the 1982 Rip Thorne's classic, The Beastmaster, which originally was a novel written by Andrew Norton, or not Andre Norton, because he's
Andre
French.
Norton, yeah, she was
an amazing author.
Yeah.
And
so we'll be talking about how awkward that black man was, all lubed up with his little armor, and how cheesy some of the acting will be. Other than that, I'm pretty sure everybody will enjoy it. It is a good movie. It's definitely one of my top 5.
Wait. How many movies with Mark Singer have you watched?
I've seen him in Invasion of the. I've seen him in V. I've seen him on Highlander. I've seen him in Beastmaster. I've seen him in Beastmaster, the TV series. I've seen him in a couple other movies, and I've heard him narrate a book back in the 90s. I know who the guy is. I have no qualms with him, and his acting is not the one I question. Okay. Although I do question the clay pipes, but that's just me.
I just was going to say, because Mark Singer used to be the sign of this is an independent budget but quality movie. He used to do that. He used to be a signal that you would be getting something entertaining to watch. V was a good sign of that.
Then we got Beastmaster 3. Insert name here. Actually, Kroll would be fun. I would love to do that sometime. We'll have to talk to Shadow and Jack about it. I think that's also a good 80s film for what it was. I'd like to do Legends at some point, because if we're talking about 80s fantasy, we've got to bring up Legend.
Well, if you're another one you have to do, just because, number one, the music's amazing. Number two, because the acting in it was amazing. Flash.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Lady Hawk, and I was going to fucking groan like you wouldn't believe.
Actually,
Yeah, we already did Flash Gordon, didn't we?
What?
Didn't we already do Flash Gordon?
No, we didn't do Flash Gordon.
Oh, really? Okay, because my son and I just watched it a while ago.
Yeah, we could do Flash Gordon. I'd like to do the last
Later on down the
Starfighter.
road.
Last Starfighter. We'll throw a little bit of sci-fi into the mix as well. Tremors, because Tremors can work with both. But those were some of the things I would like to do. Those are the movie ideas. At some point, me and Shadow will get back to the Dresden Files. I'm waiting for Jack's school and real life to settle down before I have him start reading something. Then we'll start doing that. So that's what I got going on.
Fair enough. All right. Well, my name is Bruce, and these are my friends. We all get together every Thursday night to discuss some aspect of tabletop role-playing games and how it might help possibly to think about these things at your own table. That might seem like a high and mighty thought process, but between the usual six of us, there's over 80 years of tabletop experience at the table. So I do think we have some valid concerns and thoughts to bring up for your ears only. This is Bruce Lombardo, and I thank you once again for being part of our stream tonight. Good night, everyone.
All right, everybody.